South Africa could be standing at one of the most dramatic political turning points in its modern history. What began as murmurs of discontent has now turned into a national conversation. Is the Democratic Alliance planning a bold move to dethrone President Cyril Ramaphosa through a vote of no confidence? And if so, could this mark the final blow to the African National Congress's long-standing grip on power? These are not just political speculations. There are questions that touch the heart of South Africa's political identity and future. As the country faces immense economic stress, growing unrest, and increasing institutional collapse, the stakes have never been higher. The recent signals coming from the DA, the Democratic Alliance, point to a shift in tone. No longer satisfied with symbolic resistance or slow reform efforts, there's growing pressure for real and decisive action, even if it risks destabilizing the fragile coalition currently holding things together. To truly understand why the idea of ending Ramaphosa's presidency is gaining ground, we have to look back. South Africa's modern political story has been shaped by the dominance of the ANC since the end of apartheid in 1994. For 3 full decades, the African National Congress has controlled the levers of power with leaders like Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma, and now Cyril Ramaphosa leading the nation through enormous changes. But while Mandela's presidency was associated with hope and reconciliation, the legacy since then has been more complex and increasingly troubled. The Zuma years were marred by massive allegations of corruption, state capture, and widespread institutional decay. Ramaphosa came into power promising a new dawn, a return to integrity, economic stability, and effective governance. But despite his calm and deliberate tone, many critics argue that little has actually improved. Unemployment is still sky high. Youth joblessness is among the worst in the world. Economic growth is sluggish at best and infrastructure is collapsing in many areas. Load shedding continues to hurt businesses and homes, and corruption remains deeply rooted across public institutions. Retired Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, who led the state capture inquiry, went as far as describing parts of the government as behaving like a criminal syndicate. This was not a vague accusation, it was a clear statement about the depth of the rot inside the country's leadership. South Africans are tired of broken promises, of empty rhetoric, and of watching their nation drift. Many had hoped the 2024 national election would break the ANC's dominance once and for all. And in many ways, it did. For the first time since 1994, the ANC failed to win a majority. But instead of a new government taking over, what followed was the formation of a government of national unity, a broad and shaky coalition where the ANC still held on to power with the support of other parties, including controversially the DA. This decision split public opinion. Some believed it was a wise and stabilizing move, while others felt betrayed, seeing it as a lifeline thrown to a sinking ANC by its fiercest rival. Now, months later, signs of frustration are growing. The DA is being pushed to act to stop propping up a government many see as fundamentally broken. Their leader, John Steenhuisen, is under increasing pressure to walk away from this arrangement and trigger a no-confidence vote that could force Ramaphosa out of office. This would be a huge and risky move. It could plunge the country into political chaos or open the door to long-overdue reforms. Critics of Ramaphosa say he has had enough time to prove himself and failed. They argue that his leadership has been too weak, too slow, too soft on corruption, and too loyal to a party that no longer serves the public good. Supporters, however, warn that removing him now could make things worse, not better. They argue that Ramaphosa, while imperfect, is still the best option among a divided ANC and that removing him could open the door to more radical or populist elements who might deepen the crisis rather than resolve it. Within the ANC itself, fractures are becoming harder to ignore. Factions aligned with former President Jacob Zuma still hold influence, and there are persistent rumors that some ANC members would quietly support Ramaphosa's removal, not out of principle, but to clear the way for their own power grabs. This makes the DA's position even more delicate. If they do move forward with a vote of no confidence, they may find unexpected allies within the ruling party, though not necessarily for noble reasons. Some of these internal ANC factions see Ramaphosa as an obstacle to their ambitions and would be happy to remove him even if it destabilizes the party as a whole. The Democratic Alliance, on the other hand, must weigh the long-term strategy. They are no longer just an opposition party shouting from the sidelines. They are part of a complex political equation that includes both governance and power sharing. If they remove Ramaphosa, they risk burning bridges with moderate ANC figures. But if they don't, they risk losing credibility with their base. This is a delicate moment, a test of both political courage and political calculation. Public opinion is also shifting. More and more South Africans are vocal about their dissatisfaction, not just with the ANC, but with the entire political structure. Protests have become more frequent. Trust in institutions is falling. And with social media amplifying every scandal and policy failure, the demand for accountability is louder than ever. In this climate, the DA's next move could define its legacy for years to come. Smaller parties also have a role to play in this unfolding drama. The economic freedom fighters, led by Julius Malema, would likely support Ramaphosa's removal but for entirely different reasons. Their vision for South Africa is radical, populist, and deeply opposed to the DA's market-oriented approach. Meanwhile, newer formations like Rise Mzansi and the Patriotic Alliance are gaining traction among voters disillusioned with both the ANC and DA. What would happen if Ramaphosa were actually removed? Constitutionally, the ANC would likely nominate a replacement from within its own ranks. This could mean someone like Paul Moshetel stepping in as a compromise figure, but it could also mean the rise of a more controversial figure, triggering even more instability. Alternatively, if the ANC splinters further, we could see calls for early elections or even the formation of a new ruling coalition, excluding the ANC for the first time in 30 years. In the end, South Africa's fate may rest on a few key decisions made in the coming weeks. Will the DA stand firm and demand accountability? Will the ANC put country before party? Or will politics once again win over principle? These are hard questions, but ones that must be asked. We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think the DA should bring an end to Ramaphosa's presidency? Would this help or hurt the country in the long run? What kind of leadership do you believe South Africa needs right now? Drop your comments below. Let's get the conversation going. And if you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us grow and bring you more in-depth content like this. Hit the like button, share the video with friends, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and stay informed, stay engaged, and stay hopeful.